Welcome to True Health Tuesdays. Okay, we're talking about Candida, and you're going to find out why Candida, and I know it's got a really bad rep, why it's actually kind of cool, and other fungi. Now, okay, so this mushroom walks into this bar. Mushroom sits down at the bar, and the bartender says, "No, we don't serve your kind here." He said, "Why? I'm a fun guy." Okay, so... So let's look at this. Okay, what's the big deal about Candida? Okay, now you're going to find out it's got a diamyphore. It's in two parts. Okay, it is a yeast. It can turn into a fungus. When it gets a fungus, that's when it's dangerous. But it's linked to a number of different conditions. And we're talking not just headaches and sinus problems. We're talking chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, skin issues, sexual dysfunction, irritable bowel syndrome, autism, cancers. The interesting thing with cancers and fungus is I agree with the guy's data as well, and autoimmune diseases. Now, when did all this start? You can trace it back to the very first book, The Yeast Connection by Dr. Crook, interesting name, wrote the first edition in 1986. And what he did, he correlated candidiasis or Candida hypersensitization. So everybody does have Candida. We all do. We all have different funguses. And you're going to find out that it's not really an issue. In fact, we need the Candida in our system to feed certain bacterias. Now, so it's a hypersensitivity, and he was linking it to fatigue, sexual dysfunction. Well, there was another article in Huffington Post by Kim Evans, and she's claiming 90% of the population, okay, of the U.S. population has a Candida overgrowth problem. And when you start looking at this, it's like, really, what's causing that? You know, why is fungus affecting our population, okay, and yeast to such a great extent? Well, Dr. Simoncini, he actually has a number of studies where he is proving that a lot of cancers are fungal in origin, where you can actually treat it with baking soda, as simple as that is. But it's, again, an advanced overgrowth of Candida. So, candidiasis is a fungal infection caused by yeast that belong to the genus Candida. And this is right out of the CDC. There's over 20 species of Candida, yeast that can cause infection in humans. The most common is Candida albicans. Candida yeast normally live on the skin and mucous membranes without causing infections. Wait a second. So Candida is actually part of our normal flora. It lives on the mucous membranes. So now you start thinking, well, what's the deal? Why does it cause it? Now, there's a number of different kinds, because if it starts to overgrow or if it starts to negatively affect the body, you're talking thrush, that's in the oral pharynx, esophageal, vaginal yeast infections, super common, invasive candidiasis, where it can actually get really nasty. Now, some of the symptoms of thrush, and this, I mean, we've seen it in almost every bottle-fed kid that comes in here because the kids are poisoned. Redness or soreness, difficulty in swallowing, cracking at the corners of the mouth is super common. So now, if it's normal flora for those areas, what's causing it to overgrow? Now this is the most common of the yeast infections. Genital itching, burnings, cottage cheese-like vaginal discharge, yuck. Men with genital candidiasis may experience an itchy rash on the penis. None of that sounds like fun, okay? Now, the global emergence, and this is interesting too, because when we talk about antibiotic-resistant bacteria, who caused it? We did. Okay, we did, because what happens is the more potent that you try and kill a living substance, only the stronger ones survive. It's the same thing with funguses and yeasts. We actually need to live in harmony with them. Candida auris. Healthcare facilities, okay, so what are they doing? They're disinfecting all the time. In several countries reported that a type of yeast called Candida auris has caused several illnesses in hospitalized patients. This yeast often does not respond to commonly used antifungal drugs, making infections difficult to treat. And so it's the same kind of deal where we're treating it. So let's look at some of the different funguses that are causing the diseases. And this is just a partial list. So aspergillosis, blastomycosis, valley fever, neoformans, cryptococcus, histoplasmosis, mucormycosis, pneumocystis pneumoniae, sporotrichosis. We're looking at Clostridium sporidium, Cladosporidium, ringworm. I mean, all of these. So it's not just one, it's a number of different funguses that can cause diseases. So why is Candida more popular than the others, or more prevalent? Well, it's the only one that lives on our skin and in our mucous membranes. So it is normal flora. And I love this out of the CDC. Very rarely do you get actually, really good information from the CDC. Now, fungi are everywhere. 1.5 million species live on Earth, but only 300 of those species are known to cause diseases. Fungal diseases that often caused by fungi are common in the environment. Now, fungi live outdoors in the soil, plants, trees, indoor surfaces, and most everything is not dangerous. In fact, none of it is dangerous if you have a healthy immune system. Like if you've heard of black mold, okay, you're going to find out that that's not dangerous unless you have a weakened immune system. So let's go down the list, okay, just a bit. Aspergillosis is an infection caused by Aspergillus, a common mold. Now this mold lives indoors, outdoors. People breathe in the spores, and most everybody does it without getting sick. So, and again, according to the CDC, people with weakened immune systems do. They can get sick. Now, wait a second, so it's normal. So the average person with a normal, healthy immune system can breathe mold spores in, fungal spores in, and not get sick. Cryptococcus neoformans, fungus that lives in the environment throughout the world. People can become infected after breathing in the microscopic fungus, although most people who are exposed to the fungus never get sick. It only occurs in a weakened immune system. And you're going to see this over and over and over again. Now, histoplasmosis, again, breathing in the microscopic fungal spores through the air. Most everybody breathes in the spores, they don't get sick. What is it? A weakened immune system. So we have that normal, not resistance, but it's actually part of our environment. Pneumocystis pneumoniae. Serious illness caused by fungus, and this is from very, very weakened immune systems. It's one of the most frequent and severe opportunistic infections, but only in people with what? Weakened immune systems. So you start to think, okay, well, if everybody breathes it in and only the people with weakened immune systems are getting this. Fungi are most common in the environment, and people breathe in or come in contact with fungal spores every day without getting sick. However, people with weakened immune systems. So it's not the funguses that are causing this. It's the weakened immune system. Does that make sense? So now what causes fungal infections? Things that weaken the immune system. Chemotherapy, hospitalizations, and medications. And I love this. Chemotherapy and radiation cause many changes in the body. One major change is these treatments weaken the immune system, increasing your risk of getting fungal infections. And it's interesting too, because they use chemotherapy and radiation for what's most common? Cancers. And what does Simoncini correlate them with? Fungal infections. And this increases fungal infections. Could this be why chemotherapy is generally only 2% effective? Reading that backwards, it's 98% not effective? I know, it's insane. Okay, now even according to the CDC, they say hospitalizations are dangerous. Even though you stay in an hospital to get better, it's possible to get an infection when you're there. Yeah, that's called iatrogenic. If you're staying in a hospital for an injury or illness, you may get sick or get at risk of a fungal infection, especially if you have a weakened immune system. Yeah, hospitals are not a place to get healthy. Medications, so we're going to cover this, okay, the list of medications that cause a weakening of the immune system. And it's insane because, well, I'll relay a case today that came in multiple prescriptions. Most serious fungal infections are rare, but they happen when weakened immune systems. Specifically, steroids and tumor necrosis factor inhibitors are two types of medications that massively raise up the risk of fungal infections. Steroids, super common. And we're talking, this is just like a small list of some of the steroids or medications. You're talking cortisone, hydrocortisone, prednisolone. I mean, this is a list of oral corticosteroids that are devastating. I mean, we're not just talking fungal infections, but it weakens the entire immune system. And they give them for so many things. I mean, you could have a minor amount of swelling, you could have a skin issue, you could have anything, and they give these drugs, even though it can lead to a secondary fungal infection. It's mind-boggling. Inhaled steroids. Okay, this, not only oral thrush, but I mean, the patient I got today was taking Advair and Symbicort, or Quavir. She's taken 3 different medications for asthma. And I said, well, why don't we fix it? And she says, well, I've had it for 30 years. Okay, asthma is not a problem of the lungs. Let's fix it. It's a problem of the smooth muscle control of the lungs. We'll get you healthy. And she really didn't even think that she could possibly get better. And guess what other things she had? You know, chronic candida. She was exposed to black mold. And this is all the things that she was feeling was cause of her problem. It's not. And I love this. Tumor necrosis factor inhibitors. Serious fungal infections, particularly histoplasmosis. I mean, when you look at the commercials, and you've seen it, you know, try Humira, you know, for those really nasty autoimmune diseases. Of course, you can get a nasty fungal infections, which will cause a leaky gut and lead to autoimmune conditions and cause swelling. I mean, it's literally, I love the picture here. It's like putting a bomb in the middle of these drugs. Yeah, take this. It's going to blow holes in your intestinal tract. It's going to weaken your immune system horribly. There's just no rhyme or reason to prescribe this stuff. Now, these are the antifungal drugs. And I know we just read that the antifungal drugs cause increase in fungal infections. Okay? So we have, and this is how it's listed, Tier 1 and Tier 2. Now, and they start from really bad to ridiculously stupidly bad to horribly bad to absolute, it's going to kill you. So we're going to go over these side effects, because remember the multiple effects of Candida and other fungal and yeast? Well, how would you like to take this with the antifungal drugs? Itching, hives, unpleasant sensation, difficulty in breathing, closing of your throat, swelling of your lips and tongue, severe blisters, lips redness. How do you know if you're getting over the Candida or being attacked by the fungal, or it's a side effect of the drug? But don't buy yet. Let's try this terbinafine. Okay, headache, dizziness, skin rash, unpleasant odor, joint pain, swelling of the glands, changes in mood behavior, hearing problems, weight loss, raised flaky skin, fever, rash, sore throat. Let's try this other one, because we're developing too many symptoms from that last drug. Let's try this drug. Don't worry, we have headaches, unpleasant taste, stomach pain, itching, loss of appetite, severe blistering, peeling, and red rash of skin. What were the signs of? Okay, seizures, convulsions. I love this one. Severe depression, confusion, thoughts of hurting yourself. Now, why would this be? Why would an antifungal drug, something that's killing fungals, cause massive mood fluctuations? Could it be that it's actually destroying some of our normal gut and where serotonin is produced and stored? Could it be negatively affecting the enteric brain or neurotransmitters? Yes, absolutely. Again, we're getting into the Tier 2 ones, which are even scarier. Nausea, vomiting, headaches, sleep problems, chest pain, pounding heart rate, low potassium, confusion, extreme thirst, increased urination, swelling, rapid weight gain, pale skin, rapid heart rate, trouble concentrating, muscle pain, weakness. Now, finally, some good information from the CDC. Just like some bacterial infections are resistant to antibiotics, some fungi no longer respond to antifungal medications. Yeah, because we use them all the time and it's getting stronger and stronger. So it's known as antifungal resistance. Now, some species of fungi are naturally resistant to certain types of antifungal medications. Other species may be normally susceptible to a particular type of medication, but develop resistance over time as a result of improper antifungal use. Now, wouldn't it be cool, and I'm just saying this for shits and giggles, imagine if we had antifungals that had no side effects other than health, that Candida, black mold, all that stuff was eliminated. Sounds like a crazy world, isn't it? I know, stay tuned. Okay, antibiotic resistance. Okay, now, anybody know the story of the first antibiotic? Okay, this guy, he's eating a sandwich in his lab, okay, really sanitary conditions. He's got some petri dishes of bacteria. Piece of the bread falls off of his sandwich, gets in the petri dish, he goes away for the weekend, comes back Monday, there's mold around it, around his bread, and he notices all the bacteria around the mold are dead. And he thought, hey, poisonous mold. It's against life. Let's call it an antibiotic. Okay, bio means life, anti means against life. So cool, we're going to do this whole class of drugs called antibiotics, and they're generally poisonous molds. Were you aware of that? I know, inquiring minds want to know. Okay, so when we look at this, some studies indicate that antibacterial medications may contribute to fungal resistance. This could also occur for a variety of reasons. One of which is that antibacterials reduce bacteria in the gut, creating favorable conditions for Candida growth. You see, Candida are amazing. In fact, bacteria feed on Candida. They feed on the yeast. The funguses and yeast that we have in our mucous membranes actually help break down some of this. So anytime we try and go in there and disrupt the normal flora, we're disrupting the normal environment. It's not yet known if decreasing the use of all or certain antimicrobial agents can reduce Candida infections, but appropriate use of antibacterial antifungal agents is one of the most important factors in fighting drug resistance. Okay, thank goodness that the CDC is now astounding stupid again, because they had really, really good information. It gets kind of confused, but they keep going at the medication thing instead of the real story. I mean, even on their site, they say about half of all prescriptions for antibiotics are toxic and useless. And you're talking over 262 million prescriptions. Okay, and that's in America, that's not worldwide. Now, so why are antibiotics so harmful? Well, first, they kill both beneficial and pathologic bacteria. They kill everything, rapidly changing. It's called dysbiosis, totally changes the microflora. Now, yeasts are opportunistic. When yeast change, okay, and they become fungi, they develop these little, they're called hyphae. And if you've ever heard of leaky gut, these little tiny strings bore holes into it. Just think of if you've ever seen mold, okay, that's permeating drywall or carpet or anything. What's it look like? It looks like little fimbres or strings sticking in the wall, and it's boring holes in the drywall or through the wood. This bores holes in the intestinal tract. So, and this is where the leaky gut happens. This is where systemic inflammation, this is the deadly part. God, it'd be cool if there was a natural substance that would kill hyphae. Stay tuned. I know, it's right on the edge. Okay, so no, I don't take antibiotics, but let's go to McDonald's for lunch. Okay, here you go, concentrating feeding operations. Concentrated animal feeding operations, these things are incredible for spreading antibiotic resistant, loaded with antibiotics. You can't eat the meat in this country unless it's organic, grass-fed, and natural. They don't have this type of meat in Europe, so you guys are okay. In Canada, I think you're still screwed. Okay. Yeah, but Canada's basically cooler than here. Okay, glyphosates. Okay, this is in almost every grain. It's almost, it's in almost every food product. It's now drifting into most water sources. We just had this sweet couple from Iowa, and they're surrounded by cornfields. And of course, what do they have? Dysbiosis. And it's so frustrating because, just like, we're doomed to repeat what we don't learn. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so like the Mayan civilizations was wiped out because of a drought. They used up all their water. You're going to see multiple civilizations just dying off because they're using up their resources. So we now know that if we use too many antibiotics, we create antibiotic-resistant stuff. If we use too many antifungals, we keep fungal-resistant stuff. If we use too many herbicides, we create weeds that are devastating, because only these massive weeds that are, breaking down combines and everything else are growing, and there's nothing more there to do. Okay, instead of working with nature, we're trying to master it, and it's literally killing us. Now, what kind of medications disrupt the normal flora? Because again, it's people with weakened immune systems, so what kind of things can cause that? Antibiotics, yeah. Anti means against, bio means life. So we have poisonous molds, yeah, of course, we're going to give that to you. If you have a life-threatening illness, take it. But for God's sake, if you got a common cold or a sinus infection or an ear infection, those things are not only not recommended, if the doctor's prescribing it, he's either ignorant or an idiot. Wait, no, that's, well, yeah. Antacids, that's insane. We acid acid in the stomach to control bacteria and fungal growth of the stuff we take in. And reflux doesn't come from too much acid, it comes from too little. Birth control pills, no problem. Take those, you develop a little bit of cottage cheese yeast infection, birth control done. Steroids. I can't believe I said that. I'm so sorry to all women in the world. Okay. Steroids, okay? Non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. I had a great conversation with an oncologist. Okay, one of our patients, super cool guy. His dad's an oncologist, his mom was in the room, and he wanted me to explain what we do, with the, altering the autonomic nervous system to get the body healthy. So I had a really nice conversation with him. And, I can't help notice it, but his mom has got these massive bunion formations. And I said, let me give you an example of what we do. Right now, your sweetheart there has got weak intrinsic muscles of the foot. This indicates that the nerves that supply the foot are damaged. Those nerves come out of the pelvis. That means she has an unstable pelvis. She's going to have bowel and bladder control issues, possible leg issues. But what would you do, doc? You would prescribe a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, okay, that destroys the normal joint cartilage, protein glycan production, and increases the risk for certain infections. And then they go crazy because they say, yeah, Mom, you can't even stand up for, more than 4 minutes because your legs go numb. You know what she says? I'm fine. I'm fine. All I got to do is just walk around, and then I'm fine. I'm fine. Antidepressants are good in that case, but it may weaken the immune system. Statin drugs, oh yeah, cholesterol drugs, that's brilliant, okay? We're going to lower cholesterol, the building product of every glucocorticosteroid, mineralocorticosteroid, sex hormone, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, the building product of everything that keeps you alive, we're going to lower it with a cholesterol drug. Brilliant. Okay, that was sarcasm, by the way. Okay, so importance of microflora. You have a 10-to-1. You use 70 trillion cells in your body. You have 10 times that bacteria. We need the good bacteria. We need it. We should be bathing in this stuff. In fact, if you start looking at this, how many people are using antibacterial soap? It's psychotic because that literally is killing the normal flora on the skin. We need healthy bacteria on the skin, and in our gut, in our mouth. We have bacteria on our eyes. We have it everywhere. Viruses, and I love this. If instead of we had virophobia or bacteriophobia, you get all these commercials on killing germs. No. It's not the germs. Even Pasteur was you know, the pasteurization process. He kept on arguing it's the germs that cause it, germs that cause it. And contemporary his named Beauchamp said, no, it's the terrain, where we're surrounded by bacteria, viruses, fungus, molds, bacteria, everything else. So it's not the pathogen, it's the immune system. Had a great discussion with a doctor last week. And I mean, we were almost coming to blows, okay, because I was saying, you know, Pasteur and Beauchamp, even Pasteur recounted on his deathbed that no, it's the terrain, you know, I mean, as legend goes. I wasn't there, okay, I'm not that old, Heidi, just settle down. Okay, but you know, you start seeing this and you think, my God, could it be that we have a harmonious relationship in our world, in our environment with this stuff, and instead of being psychotically phobic, that I mean, Nobel Prize winner. Humans are well over 50% viral. It makes more sense. It just does, because we're designed to live here. So what's the function of this? What's the function of normal flora? So now also too, when you look at this, you know, we're talking digestion, absorption of carbohydrates, production of vitamins, absorption of minerals, eliminates toxins, distinguishes between pathogens, harmful, non-harmful, keeps harmful bacteria under control, aid in production of antibodies to pathogens, supports the immune system. Now we move to Iowa. We're surrounded by cornfields that are soaked in glyphosates. It gets in our water system. We lose this ability. Think of that. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. So what causes fungal infections? What does the CDC, what does everybody say? What did Pasteur recount on his deathbed? A weakened immune system, it's the terrain. Okay, medications, particularly the poisonous molds, I mean the antibiotics. Chemotherapy, okay, and that's toxic chemotherapy, not, because you could call vitamin C, you know, chemotherapy as well. Toxic food, especially meats from the concentrating animal feeding operations, and an unhealthy microflora, absolutely. So what do? How do we build our immune system? Well, organic plant-based diet. As simple as that seems. It seems, you know, so the people that come in who are toxic, what do we tell them? Yeah, plant-based diet. It sounds crazy, but it really is that simple. Healthy saturated fats like coconut oil, fermented veggies, probiotics, and the probiotics, try and get healthy probiotics, because what does that do? That actually gets healthy bacteria in your system. You're taking bacteria in. And then fermented foods. Look at all the different fermentation that you can get in there. Juiced vegetables, blended fruits, raw dairy, animal fat-based omega-3s. It's so simple to get fermented foods. But if you're going to, say, the shelf at the standard supermarket and getting sauerkraut that's already been pasteurized and preserved, that is not living food. Make it. It's super simple. Miso, kimchi. Now, this one, black seed oil, is biblical. This is in the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. I mean, it's brilliant. Now, not only over 800 peer-reviewed studies, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antifungal, antioxidant. So now it's pretty good, 800 peer-reviewed studies. Let's see if they see anything directly with fungal infections. Oh my gosh, Nigella sativa, which is the black seed oil, inhibitory effect against candidiasis. This study validates traditional use of the plant in fungal infections. Okay, confirms the potential antioxidant and antimicrobial of Nigella sativa, which can be considered not only as a dietary supplement, but being used as a variety of free radical-induced damage diseases. Wait a second, it's non-toxic. It's effective. It kills this stuff, and it's natural. No, it can't be that simple. See, the CDC is saying weaken immune system, weaken immune system, weaken immune system, but we're so damn stupid, all we understand is drugs. We can't look at plant products because our bosses, the pharmaceutical industry, aren't paying us to promote that. Turmeric, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antioxidant, anti-neoplastic, which is anti-cancer properties. No kidding. Turmeric and fungal infections. I love this. Curcumin, by its antioxidant activity level, showed neuroprotection against the 3 NP-induced behavior and biochemical alterations. It's a fungal toxin. A present study have investigated the antifungal effects of natural polyphenol, or curcumin, against albicans, non-albicans species of Candida, shown its ability to inhibit the growth of all tested strains. Our results provide the first evidence that curcumin acts as an antifungal agent via generation of oxidative stress and inhibits the hyphae development. Wait a second. Ow, my brain just hurt. So you mean the thing that bores holes in the intestinal tract, causing leaky gut, that thing that's a projection, that this destroys the ability of yeast that turn into fungus, that bore holes in the intestinal tract, and it tastes great. Honest to goodness, we tell people to get some root vegetable juices, put some turmeric root in there. About a tablespoon or 2 is therapeutic dose. European Journal of Pharmacology, curcumin's potent antifungal activity against different strains of Candida, Cryptococcus, Aspergillus, Trichosporon, and Paracoccosidides have been reported. I mean, aim of this review is to discuss curcumin's dual pharmacological activities regarding its application as a natural anti-cancer and antifungal agent. CDC, you're asleep at the switch, man. Okay? Weaken immune system, all we got to do, strengthen the immune system. It seems too simple. Vitamin D exerts important regulatory functions on cells from the innate as well as from the adaptive immune system response. Indeed, accumulated evidence has shown insufficient vitamin D levels may lead to dysregulation of the immune system responses, thus contributing to autoimmune diseases. So this means vitamin D is good. Okay, at this time of the year, we're in October. Even though we're in sunny Southern California, we don't get enough sunlight at this time of the year. So even we have to supplement now. I mean, it's benign. It's good for you. You're not going to get sick from it. What does the asthma research and practice say? Vitamin D supplementation decreases Aspergillus fumigatus, specifically Th2 responses in cystic fibrosis patients with Aspergillus sensitization. I mean, these are severely injured people with severely damaged lungs. Okay, and Th2, if you'll remember, that's the inflammatory response caused by vaccinations or an acute inflammatory state. It helps with that, vitamin D. Okay, so what are the exposures? 20 minutes a day in the normal sunlight. If not, you got to be supplementing 3,000 units for every 100 pounds of body weight. 8 to 10,000 is normally inappropriate. If you have a cold, 50,000 for 5 days is appropriate. Dr. McCullough, I think, recommends 100,000 units for 7 days if you have a cold or flu or an immune system response. I mean, it's just essential. But what do you need with vitamin D? You need vitamin K2. Okay, so what are the food sources of this? Grass-fed organic animal products, fermented foods, certain cheeses, brie, Gouda. Come on, that get a little fresh sauerkraut, put a little brie on it. No, honey, I'm getting my K2 and my bacteria. I'm not just partying. Breastfeeding. It's not just for men anymore. Okay, I didn't just say that, did I? We're supposed to have this filter. Okay, so when you look at this, I mean, real breastfeeding, serum from breastfed infants induces a greater phagocytic capacity against Candida albicans. Phago means eating, cytic means cells. It means that this stuff actually kills the fungus from real breastfeeding. But what's interesting, it's formula versus breastfeeding. And if you're measuring the formula-fed infants, they have a greater, they don't have the resistance because it's toxic. I mean, you figure the most of the formulas now are genetically modified soy and sugar, and then we wonder why the kid gets up with thrush. This is interesting. Determine the occurrence of Candida in the oral cavity, predominantly breastfed infants in their mother's mouths and breasts, as the oral cavity bottle-fed infants. So this is checking the actual child sucking the breast versus the child sucking the bottle. It turns out that there's healthy bacteria around that breast, and it's good for the child. I mean, amazing. Clove and fungal infections. Clove oil may suppress the growth of Candida albicans. It's clear that clove oil shows powerful antifungal activities. Garlic, God bless garlic. The ubiquitous opportunistic pathogen Candida albicans is sensitive to garlic. Resistant to the broad spectrum of active principles present is unlikely, so that its anti-candidal effects may provide an important alternative route to chemotherapy. No kidding. Think of this. Okay, the aqueous garlic extract, 133 multiple drug-resistant gram-positive and gram-negative. Gram-negative bacteria you do not want. Okay, isolates. And against 10 Candida were studied. The results of the study support the use of garlic in health products and herbal remedies. I mean, it just makes sense. It's true. My mom broke up with a guy because he didn't like garlic. Honestly, I mean, she said there were other reasons, but then the last was the straw, and he doesn't like garlic. Okay, it's you guys should have met my mom. She was cool. Okay, antifungal essential oils. Clove, tea tree oil. Now, some of these can be used internally, some of them topically. Believe me, you don't want to use oregano oil topically. It burns, okay? Or you can cut it with something. Lemongrass, cinnamon bark, thyme, lavender, geranium, chamomile, cassia. When we look at antifungal foods, spices, I mean, this is just stuff you should add to your normal repertoire of what you eat. I mean, I love that picture. That's real food. Turmeric, curcumin, black seed, garlic, apple cider vinegar, coconut oil, cinnamon. I mean, it seems too simple that we just put healthy food and healthy bacteria, and you could reverse black mold. You could reverse everything. So when we talk about the 5 keys of health, and we talk about how important the nervous system is, why? Because it's not what's attacking you, it's the terrain. And the nervous system controls and coordinates not only the immune system, and controls the hormonal system, and controls and coordinates every function of the body. You got to have this thing checked. Regular exercise. Why? Because it strengthens the immune system. What do they keep on saying? Weaken immune system, weaken immune system, weaken immune system. Exercise a half hour a day strengthens it. Proper nutrition. This means normal, healthy, organic food. Plant-based diet. I mean, that's just normal. Sufficient rest. Why? Because if you don't get sufficient rest, your immune system is weakened. This is why if you're getting deep sleep and you're sleeping where there is black mold, and you eat healthy and you have a good proper nervous system and you exercise regularly and have prayer and meditation, you won't get any negative effects from it. Honest to goodness. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but the last place I was staying, I moved off of my boat into this little apartment, and they had a huge water leak. You know, cleaned up everything as best we could, but when I moved, I took the bed, you know, the headboard off, and it like stuck to the back wall, and it was ripped. It was just tons of black mold back there. And I thought, wow, I don't have it. Because I'm always getting people who say, oh, man, I had black mold when I was 12, you know, and 65 now, and it's been affecting me my whole life. You know, I think, no, that's not possible, you know. Let's strengthen your immune system, detox your system, you're going to be fine. And prayer and meditation. I mean, and then for reference, on top of reference, on top of reference. I mean, it just makes sense. We're designed to live in this environment. Don't be afraid of Candida. Don't be afraid of yeast. Don't be afraid of mold. You know, be afraid of the psychotic drugs that we're giving, okay, and the drugs in the food, because we're smart. Now, any questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, my question is in regards to your microbiome, like your gut flora.
Yes.
So So let's say you take an antibiotic, which goes in and destroys all forms of bacteria in there. Is it possible to get your original state back?
Oh yeah, absolutely, very quickly. They call it Montezuma's Revenge, where if you're from Southern California, because we're right next to the border in Mexico, if you go across the border, you eat the food over there or the water, you're supposed to get diarrhea. Okay? That is a change in normal flora. If you're coming from Mexico up to LA, which the water is way more poisonous, okay, that they will get diarrhea in upset stomach as well, because they're changing normal flora. So anytime you move to a different area, there's a different normal flora in that area. So there typically is going to be a little bit of diarrhea, a little bit of change. So what you want to do, if you have been poisoned by an antibiotic, fire the doctor. That would be a good idea, because you didn't have a life-threatening illness. Okay, and prepare the environment by taking probiotics. Okay, because that's going to change the acidity of the environment in order to accept the new bacteria in the area that you are. And then try and get some locally fermented foods, locally fermented cheeses, and put a little brie on the sauerkraut and enjoy. Yeah, you'll repopulate it quickly. And plus do the raw organic root vegetable juices. Phenomenal, because root vegetable juices are going to have tons of bacteria on there. And since root vegetables grow in a moist environment, they have anti-mold properties. It's pretty cool. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
You quickly went by baking soda, and then you went on, tell me more about baking soda.
Oh, this is the interesting thing. Because if you're like washing with a very, very alkaline solution, okay, like doing a douche with baking soda or washing, areas, that is actually negative, because it can create an opportunistic environment for molds and yeast and funguses to grow. What Dr. Simoncini did, okay, and this is really interesting, if you expose mold directly to baking soda or to something that's very, very alkaline, it'll kill it. And so he'll hook up like a 5% solution of saline water and sodium bicarb to tumors. And he's got pre and post that shows them eliminated, which is just brilliant, amazing, and non-toxic, but not many people have really incorporated it. But don't use it topically for anything else. Okay, because it can create a competitive environment. Even though you're directly putting it on some type of mold and can kill the mold, but you don't want to like wash areas that are predisposed to having Candida albicans or some other type of mold or fungus, because you have a weakened immune system. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, and next week, it's really exciting. Acne, eczema, and other skin diseases. God, what a fun month. Thank you very much.